Yet another Kingdom Hearts anniversary has pretty much just come and gone with no real acknowledgement from the team, from the social media pages, or anything along those lines. And on top of that, it's just a couple of months away, I think a month away, if I remember correctly, since the last major, quote-unquote, major update about Kingdom Hearts 4 and Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, being the screenshots that we got from 4 and the cancellation of Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. So, at this point in time, we are still sitting pretty with absolutely nothing in regards to Kingdom Hearts. And I know I said that, the last video I made in regards to this was going to be the last time, but, this situation is so much bigger than Kingdom Hearts in of itself, right? Because the problem here lies in the fact that I am a Square Enix fan, and that is the worst thing you can be in this era, right? Because Square Enix has just so many phenomenal franchises under its belt, being, some of my favorites obviously being Final Fantasy, Nier Automata, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, obviously, and a bunch of other things, right? The problem here is their communication, right? They just refuse to do any form of communication. And I know, right, I understand that they are not obligated to communicate with us how development is going in regards to any of their games, right? If they're working in the background, if they're working silently on developing these games, then that's one thing. That's totally fine. But the problem here is that they refuse to communicate any form of updates when they are very clearly perfectly capable of doing so, right? Here's the problem, right? The Final Fantasy VII Remake team, specifically the director Hamaguchi, has been giving us constant updates every couple of months in regards to Final Fantasy VII remake, or the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. He's been giving us updates for Part 3 every couple of months or so. Every time we get major events or announcements in regards to Final Fantasy VII, anything, he usually also drops a little bit of information, right? We just recently got the demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on, is it on Xbox? Is the demo on Xbox? I'm sure it is. But on Nintendo Switch 2, right? And, reports are saying that it runs very well. Even for a consistent capped 30-frame game, it looks and runs very, very well. And it's a very impressive port so far, right? So, that's going well. That's great. That's awesome. Everybody fully expected that, after the blunder of releasing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth exclusively on PlayStation and not hitting the sales markers that they thought they were gonna, they had to kind of redo their initiative and start working on getting all of the games on every platform. Final Fantasy VII Remake is already on Switch 2, and, they're working very, very hard and fast to get this game out on Switch 2, or to get Rebirth out specifically on Switch 2 this June. And it's pretty much common knowledge at this point that they are likely to release Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 on all platforms, whether it be obviously PlayStation, Nintendo Switch 2, Xbox, and likely PC, maybe. I think it's on PC as well, but regardless, the point is, we have seen more Final Fantasy VII Trilogy than anything in regards to Square, and that is alarming. Obviously, they have other projects and stuff like that. Octopath Traveler Zero, whatever the next one is. Adventures of Elliot, or whatever that's called. We have a lot. There's a lot going on with Square, but, some of their biggest IPs are the ones that people are definitely some of the most worried about because of how silent they have been, right? The director under Nier talked about the fact that, there's... somebody's got to pull up the article or something like that if you need to correct me. It's been a while since I've looked into this, but essentially there was a situation in which there was projects happening, but they weren't going... They weren't able to get finished or something like that, and the Nier director was just kind of sitting there with twiddling thumbs waiting to see what the next project he's going to be able to work on is, or finish is, or whatever he's got going on. So he's just been kind of floating around in the background, which really sucks because he's a very talented director and artist, and I want to see more of his work. I want to see more Nier. I want to see more of something within that realm, within that universe. But, just like us, he's sitting there waiting with bated breath to see what's going on, right? Obviously, one of the most concerning, even honestly more concerning than Kingdom Hearts 4, is Dragon Quest XII, which was announced ages ago. We have not seen a lick a lick of Dragon Quest 12, right? And I have to imagine that part of that comes from the fact that, obviously Toriyama passed away, rest in peace to the GOAT. Maybe there was some, aspects that he had a part in, obviously, because, this is within his art style and stuff like that, that is within his realm, that's his baby too. So I have to imagine that's a part of why Dragon Quest 12 has been so silent, but it really sucks that we haven't heard a single thing, not a peep from a director or nothing as far as I'm concerned. We just don't know anything about what's going on with Dragon Quest 12, right? And then obviously, most recently, more consistently, Kingdom Hearts 4 being like the, one of the biggest caveats of this entire situation is the fact that, there's just clearly some form of mismanagement or misdirection in how they are going about advertising the game that they showed off back in 2022. It is now 2026, multiple anniversaries have passed, one game has been canceled, and we have 8 screenshots from a game that we know almost nothing about since that initial trailer. So we are working with dust at this point in regards to Kingdom Hearts, and that really blows. Like, we're at the point where we are latching on to pretty much any and every ounce of little tidbits of news that we could get our hands on, even if it is BS rumors, complete BS rumors about remake for Kingdom Hearts 1, a remake for 558 over 2 days, another re-release or another port or whatever, some nonsense. We're just kind of like, whatever we find, we kind of latch onto that and just, I don't know, we just kind of see where it goes. 9 times out of 10 it goes nowhere. But, it is what it is. So, I think, we're just suffering a major miscommunication problem, right? And the thing is, right, something that's been brought to my attention within the last couple of weeks was the fact that, I was reminded about the fact that Square Enix was essentially going through a major overhaul situation. I think it swapped presidents or major directors and stuff like that. They swapped a lot of things, and because of that they were going through a little bit of an initiative where they were essentially doing a lot of fix-ups and cleanups and stuff like that, right? Because it's very clear, I don't know if it was before or during the announcements for Killer Instinct, which was the little live service game that they were trying to push, that they were publishing, that they advertised that, I think it was a Summer Games Fest or the Game Awards a couple of years ago. I think it was 2 years ago now. They were talking about that initiative, or we were in the midst of hearing about this initiative where they were kind of going through all of the projects that they were working on and going through and canceling all of the unnecessary stuff. They were focusing so heavily on mobile titles and stuff like that, and they were just okay, we're doing too much with this. We need to put a major focus, a direct initiative focus on our major titles, right? So because of that, they've been doing a lot of just background cleanup, just super silent cleanup in the background to really put a focus on, the major titles that they really think are important for the company and stuff like that, for Square Enix as a brand, right? Because nobody's talking about no Killer Instinct. Everybody pretty much wrote that off as soon as they saw it. They're like, what are we doing? We saw Square Enix in the lineup for, I believe that was Summer Games Fest. We saw that Square Enix was going to be there. We're like, oh my god, they got to show something, and it was just Killer Instinct, and we were like, are you serious? This is all you had to show for yourselves? That's it? We're not going to play this, so what else you got? And that was it. You know what I'm saying? And even since then, it's just been kind of, lack of a better term here, a big nothing burger for the last couple of years, it feels like, right? Now, again, obviously, one of the best things to come out of Square Enix these last couple of years was, news-wise, is all of the updates and stuff that we're getting from Hamaguchi and his team in regards to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. They are working diligently. He updates us all the time on stuff. Things are progressing smoothly, and, they want to have something to show soon, and they just want us to be a little bit patient. But it's literally that simple. That is genuinely all we can ask for, is just a word from a director, from somebody on the team working diligently on the project, that things are okay. That is all we need. That is it. We don't need, obviously we would want to see a trailer. We want to see that, after all these years of waiting, that things are, going well, you know what I'm saying? Because if we're being honest, we're living in some very dire times when it comes to, the economy and the world in itself, and even the state of gaming. The state of gaming is becoming very dangerous because it is pretty much on the verge of collapse and becoming like strictly a luxury for, the folks that can afford it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's becoming much harder for, everybody to have access to this kind of thing because everything is just getting so expensive. And because of that, we're just kind of sitting here with twiddling thumbs, just praying that within our lifetime, or at least within a reasonable time where we can still afford games comfortably, or afford to obtain the things that we can to play these games, that we get some form of update and eventually release for these games that we hold near and dear to our hearts. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's so frustrating that we have zero communication from any of these other teams, right? It's just like it's the Hamaguchi and the team has proven that it is simply that easy to just be like, hey, yeah, we're still working on it. We have, things are running smoothly. We have a general goal set, and, we'll probably have something to showcase soon, but we just need you guys to be a little more patient. It is that simple. And we are like, just that alone, and we are sitting pretty with the idea that we are getting this next major Final Fantasy title within the next year or so. And that's, and even if we don't get it within the next year or two, like, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's absurd how fast they are working on this game. Like, to be fair, even Rebirth came out extremely fast. Like, I would have expected to see something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like now. Like, I would have expected to get that maybe early this year or something like that, not almost 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of a trip that this just one team is just kind of holding all of our hopes on their backs by keeping us posted and updated on Final Fantasy VII Part 3. And I just really hope that after this initiative, and after the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, that we can see a little bit of change in how they communicate with the fans, with the people that are buying their damn stuff, brother. I need to hear somebody. Like, where could Nomura possibly be? Why is he so silent? Where did this man go? Because we have been latched onto the fact that, like, I want to say 3 years ago, he said at some Kingdom Hearts event, it was some event, I don't remember what it was at this point, it's been so long, but he was talking to somebody, it might have been Utada, that there was a major shift that changed to the trajectory of their work, or for the series of Kingdom Hearts, and we got zero word on that. We got nothing. We just heard, like, there was a major change. We're like, what does that mean? And that's a little scary, considering the fact that, we don't know anything, but what we did know was that, Square Enix was getting very, very friendly with, like, a lot of certain aspects in regards to, like, NFTs and stuff like that. There was an aspect of them, I don't know, we were just really praying that, the generative AI didn't inspire the wrong projects. You know what I'm saying? So, we're just kind of looking at all these different franchises with a lot of worry, because it's just been so long since we've seen or heard about anything that could potentially come next. You know what I'm saying? I loved Nier Automata. I want to catch up. Oh, wow. I want to catch up on pretty much all of the Nier games if I can in coming years, while waiting for that next Nier game. Obviously, I'm going to be playing a lot more Dragon Quest as well, but I'm just, I've been kind of hoping that we would have seen Dragon Quest 12 a little bit more outside of a logo. Like, this is legitimately another Metroid Prime 4 situation. And it's like, you guys got to understand, like, when you do something like that, and we hear absolutely nothing about it, like, we don't get word on, like, any form of development or something like that, we're going to assume a couple of things. That either A, things are going super well, and that this is going to be the best thing you've ever introduced, and our expectations are going to be so high and unrealistic that when the game does release, it might end up being a problem. or B, the game is going through development hell and it is on the verge of potentially being canceled because there is just too many problems with its development. Now, obviously, I have a hard time imagining that even if a lot of the ideas for Kingdom Hearts 4, for example, or even Dragon Quest or Nier did end up getting scrapped and they needed to start over, those are big names within Square Enix. I don't think that they would just completely shaft the projects and shelve them forever and we would never see them at all. But it is kind of scary to think that we could end up just, you know, in another Metroid Prime situation where we wait damn near like 8 to 9 years just to see it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was way too long in between the initial announcement for Metroid Prime 4 until we finally got it last year. And, you know, obviously expectations were so high for it that everything that we were seeing, it started to disappoint people because, you know, their expectations were through the roof for a game that they've been waiting of like almost a decade on. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's just it's a scary time to be a gamer for you know, a Square Enix gamer specifically. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I don't know. At the very least, I am very excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. That's always going to be a mouthful, but it's a fine. I'm not going to continue that sentence. That's crazy. I'm very excited for the game, and, you know, the updates that they've been giving us have brought me some form of relief. I'm glad that they aren't chained in a basement somewhere, you know, unable to speak their minds because Square, you know, doesn't want them saying anything they shouldn't be or anything like that, you know. Like, obviously things are going well based on the fact that we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at all proves that they are some absolute demons on the I almost said on the mic, in the development room, and things are going well, and we could potentially see this next game very, very soon, and I'm extremely excited for that. So hopefully we see it sooner rather than later. But either way, that is my thoughts on the Square Enix communication problem. Obviously, I wanted to do a more direct, like, on-camera situation for this, but again, I'm just usually so short on time that I never really get the chance to do that as much as I would like. So there are going to be a lot of times where I'm going to have to just kind of buckle down and just do something like this just so I can have something for you guys, because I really want to start putting out more content on this channel more a lot this year. And you know, after, you know, y'all, a lot of y'all probably coming from my Xenoverse ramble from the other day. We're going to be talking a lot about Xenoverse 3 this upcoming year as well, so make sure to stick around for that. But, you know, always, first and foremost, Square Enix and its franchises are going to be some of my babies, and I will definitely be talking about those as we get closer to them or farther away from them. We'll have to see what happens with that. But that being said, I'm passing the mic over in your direction. I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that Square Enix has a major communication problem that doesn't need to exist, despite the fact that they are going through a little bit of a rework and a revamp for the company from the ground up here, and they should be able to communicate just like everybody from the Final Fantasy VII Remake team, and we should be seeing more Kingdom Hearts, Nier, Dragon Quest alongside Final Fantasy? Or are you on the opposing side? I'm being a baby, I'm bitching out, and we just need to hold out and just wait and see what Square Enix has in store for us, and we'll see it inevitably. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. And with that, yes ma'am, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! To my